All right, what's up, guys? We're live here at Wrestling Reaction. It's been a good while since we've had a nice little fun live stream here on the channel, and I wanted to do one of these because I just realized it's been since SummerSlam. That's been a bit. So I thought we'd jump on live here on a Friday, chat about all things WWE and anything you want to talk about, specifically, as you can tell from the title, The Last Time Is Now tournament gets started on Monday to determine John Cena's final opponent. In WWE, it's Saturday night's main event on December the 13th. And so, excited to see some of you guys hop back in. And again, I know it's been a while, but also haven't put up a video in about a week or so here on the channel. So I wanted to jump back into it and hopefully get some more fun stuff going here live on the channel. Good to see you guys hopping in as well already. And again, we're going to talk a lot about this John Cena tournament. We know 2 matches have already been announced, and it will be Damian Priest and Rusev. And then we've got Sheamus and Shinsuke Nakamura. Curious to see how they round out the 16-man tournament. And I want you guys to weigh in with your thoughts on how you see this playing out in terms of potential surprise entrants. We know that's one of the main themes that's been kind of pushed out there, both by Cena and by WWE, is that there will be some surprises in this tournament. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think should win? All that good stuff. But if you are hopping in for the first time, again, I appreciate you guys doing that. We usually put up a video or two here on the channel. Things have been busy the past couple weeks, and so I haven't been able to do that as much. But again, that's why we're kind of doing this live, because it has been a while since I've talked to you guys here, and good to see some of the regulars in here as always, jumping in to say hello. And yes, let's see what we can come up with when it comes to Cena's final opponent. And you guys probably know that you've seen a lot of the chatter out there, a lot of the online stuff. I mean, you can even look on the channel. You go back probably 6 months when we were debating this topic of who is going to be the final opponent. And I feel like 2 of the names we kept coming back to at that time were Gunther and Drew McIntyre. And I gave you a couple reasons why I could see both being the potential option. CM Punk was thrown in there as well, just because, well, you didn't know if they would do Punk then or would they, wait and do it as the final match. Well, they decided to do it, earlier, and so that they got the Punk match out of the way. Now, I know there's still people perhaps hoping that we get another CM Punk John Cena match coming up here soon, maybe at Madison Square Garden. We'll see if it plays out that way. But I think, Gunther is going to be the person that many people still see as the favorite, right? And good to see Right-Hand Cam in here, supporter of the membership tier, which I've tried to do more bonus content for Cam and others. It just, guys, I'm telling you, it is, as I told you, what was this time last year, added a toddler into the world. And yes, the schedule has been a little interesting these days with work and all that. So if you're not seeing as many regular videos as you did a year ago, I'll give you one of the reasons why. But no, it's fun nonetheless. But yeah, I mean, I think when you certainly look at it, like I still look at those names, and Gunther is expected to be the favorite to win this tournament. But there are some things in terms of the way WWE has presented this that I'm not as sold as I was on that idea, that it will be Gunther. He's going to be in this thing. It depends on when they decide to bring him back. But I am curious, do they go the route of trying to make this feel like what it was with John Cena when he made his debut, right? That he's the guy who came in, he was the unknown, and then he comes in, it accepts the challenge from Kurt Angle on SmackDown. And so it's like you have this new face, and all of a sudden he's quickly established as could potentially being the future guy, right? Gunther is already established to a level that I don't know that you necessarily need him to win this tournament and be the guy who faces Cena, right? And that's why I think the more I look at these options, and we'll talk about like the participants and all that. I did write a column, by the way. I've told you guys I do some work over at the Takedown on SI, a Sports Illustrated site. You can find it there. I was kind of predicting the 16-man field, and I'll give you some of the people that I had on the list. But, the more I look at this in terms of all the way to the finish, I don't know if I'm as convinced it'll be Gunther. Now, Triple H is a Gunther guy, right? And so that makes me believe that it could certainly be him, and you could absolutely see Triple H being the person who wants to see Gunther retire John Cena, right? And so from that perspective, it wouldn't be a surprise at all just to it be, it's clear as day that it's going to be him. And he's making his comeback after being out a couple months. Punk beats him for the title. This is Gunther's way to, again, not just reestablish himself, but give him something on his resume that no one else can have, and that is retiring John Cena. So all that would make sense. But again, I also wonder, Cena said in that video hyping it at Saturday night's main event, hey, is it going to be something where Cena is like, this is an opportunity to basically, for me to give back and for someone to have the opportunity that I had. So to be in that same position he was when he stepped into the ring with Kurt Angle. And that makes me wonder, could it be someone just out of the blue that wins this tournament? Whether you're picking an NXT guy like an Oba Femi or Trick Williams or somebody like that, is it someone else that just is a surprise winner and it catches us off guard? Those are all possibilities, I think, heading into this thing. And so I really am interested to see how they go about it. And I know some of you guys have mentioned in the comments as well, and this has been a talking point as Alex brings up, again, the surprises, right? Everyone is looking at Adam Copeland / Edge or looking at Chris Jericho, like all these different names that have been mentioned. Just not realistic, I don't think, unless WWE has something up their sleeve that we don't really know about. Those two guys, as it stands right now, still under contract with AEW. That is at least the belief. So I just don't see any scenario where one of them is involved in this. Again, if so, then the wrestling world will certainly be upside down in 2025 because that is not a connection, WWE and AEW, I think that would ever happen right now. But I just think more likely you're going to see, again, and that's the thing when you're predicting the field here, they threw some of the people into that video package that they know are going to be in the tournament, right? And so there were plenty of people featured in that video package that, WWE basically is leading us in the direction to think, all right, these are the guys who will be in the tournament. And so, like, Rusev was in that video package. Sheamus was in that video package. They're both already in the tournament. McIntyre was in there, I think. LA Knight was in there. Penta. Others that I'm probably forgetting, Dominic Mysterio. And so I think, it's going to be one of those things. I mean, was Solo in there maybe? So, again, some of these people have the history with John Cena, and that was the whole point, right, is that some of this will be, all right, these are participants who are entering the tournament based on their history with Cena. There will be other people that Cena's never faced before that could be interesting, first-time challengers should they make it through the tournament and face him in December. And then the other ones, as you talked about, could be surprises. And that's where, for me, to quickly go back to the surprise thing, I think you're more looking at people like, Nick Nemeth, a.k.a. Dolph Ziggler, Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Zack Ryder. Like, both of them are TNA talents. You could see them. They have history with Cena dating back a decade. Jeff Hardy, someone else I've seen mentioned by people as a possible name out there, would make sense as well because, again, Jeff is in TNA with Matt, and they're doing the tag team thing. So I think those are the more realistic and the surprise candidates. I don't know that there's, again, anyone from AEW or anything like that. I just don't see those as options. I know Christopher mentioned in the comments, you've got Elijah too. Yeah, I mean, he's someone, they could throw in there for a nice little, easy pop or something like that. I know Joe Henry's been bantered about. I'll be honest, I push back a little bit on that one because watching NXT, they've kind of put Joe Henry in a spot where everything is very comedic, and I don't think you really want that element in this tournament. I think you want this tournament to be as serious as it gets because you are fighting for the opportunity to face John Cena in his final match, right? So I don't know, unless they just do kind of a 180. I mean, again, the last visual we have of Joe Henry this week is him with Thea Hale on NXT, if you guys watched it, and they had just pied Ethan Page and Chelsea Green. So I don't know if that's what you want with him in this tournament, but we'll see. I think, again, one of the better surprises for me would be either Nick Nemeth or Matt Cardona, because I think, you could tie in some history with Cena there on that. But, yeah, and I mean, look, as Right Hand Cam mentions, I think that's kind of where I'm at. I think I vote more for the different type thing here. And that's where, and look, the problem is we don't know the bracket off the bat. It's not your usual tournament where, sometimes you just, all right, here's the bracket. We see the full field. We start to make our picks. We can project ahead based on possible matchups and all those things. We can't do that with this one because it seems like what they're going to do is they're just going to announce them each week because they want to build that suspense, right? They want to put it into where, all right, we're thinking maybe, or many people are thinking, oh, well, maybe it could be, Edge. Maybe it could be Jericho. And they're going to just string it out as far as it'll go to keep you tuning in each week to make you think that one of these guys could eventually show up. And as Raphael says here, all you got to do is say Joe Henry's name, and the man will appear. So if anyone wants him to be in the tournament, say his name, he'll be there. But I think that, from that perspective, I feel like it is something where I do believe just kind of the way they've announced this thing, I would want it to be a little bit, kind of different in terms of just giving us maybe a different approach. And that's where you don't have an obvious winner. You don't have maybe the obvious, Final Four or anything like that. I think, what was it, before they even announced the field or before they announced the first matches, I threw out my just, random Final Four. And I'll give it to you guys here. I picked Gunther, I picked Drew McIntyre, I picked LA Knight, and I picked Oba Femi. And I'm like, okay, Femi's obviously the wild card of that group. You don't even know if he's going to be in the tournament, but I can't think of a better spot to introduce this guy. There's nothing left for him to do in NXT. And I can't think of a better opportunity to push him now. But the thing is, that's where it gets interesting, right? If they go with one of these surprise names, and let's say it is like an up-and-comer, like that, someone from NXT or someone else on the main roster that they all of a sudden just want to push to the moon. I don't know that you want to just go the route of saying, all right, well, we're going to push them to the Final Four and then they lose, right? Because then they just kind of feel like, all right, well, that's great. They made a good run, but they didn't win. Maybe you just go all the way and just say, all right, we're going to take our shot. We're going to make this person. That's one way to go about it. But like I said, this is the Triple H era, guys, and I tend to think that I wouldn't be shocked if it is as simple as Gunther's going to go through and beat everyone and win the thing and wind up being Cena's final opponent because, one of the things I brought up months ago when we discussed this was it's pro wrestling versus sports entertainment. Gunther is the definition of pro wrestling. John Cena is the sports entertainment guy, right? So they could absolutely play up that theme. One of the disadvantages, I think, of this tournament, before I forget, we did mention this. And by the way, too, we're doing a weekly live show over at the Takedown on SI. I'll drop the link for you guys as well if you want to go check that out each week. Me and Zach Haydorn. We started that. First episode was yesterday. And hopefully you guys join in on the chat there because we have a fun discussion on not just WWE, but AEW and other big professional wrestling developments also. But one of the things we mentioned, kind of just looking at it from the disadvantages of this, having a tournament to determine Cena's final opponent, is that you don't really have a long time to build up the match, right? And it is Cena's final match. Like, it's sort of, okay, who does it really matter who the opponent is? It's John Cena, right? This is his last match and all that. But you guys know me. I'm a big story guy. And I'm like, I don't think you want just like a week and a half to try to build up the story of this match between these two participants, right? And if they're starting the tournament next week, December 13th is the match. I mean, you're probably not going to have more than like 2 weeks to really build up the opponent versus John Cena. And so I think that's one of the other things that I'm curious to see how they go about this because you kind of want to start that now. But the problem is you don't know who he's going to face, right? But having Cena on both of these, these next couple shows on Raw, that's going to help because at least you're going to have him there to probably be able to interact with some of the potential winners. And that can kind of, again, kickstart some of these things that you really need to get going now because we're a month away from that match. And so, I'm fascinated. And again, I will give you quickly, me too. You know this, right, Hand Cam? I mean, that's my thing. That's his whole channel, right? we pretty much talk about nothing but story here. We don't really talk about anything else. And I feel like it's kind of one of those things where hopefully we at least get some kind of story attached to this thing because I think it would be a lot more interesting to me to have a little more time. All right, I'm going to run down the list of names I put here on my column that I wrote for the Takedown on SI. If you guys want to, again, check that out, you can go search for it, whatever. Predicting the 16-man last time is now tournament participants. That is the headline if you want to go read it over there. But here are the names I put in there. And I can already tell you, I did not have Damian Priest or Shinsuke Nakamura on there. So I'm not going to go 16 for 16. I can tell you that. All right, I did have Gunther, no surprise. Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, Bronson Reed. The reason I don't have Braun Breaker is because I think they should just let Breaker keep his focus on CM Punk and the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't really think there's a need to put him in here because, like I said earlier, I don't think you want to put anyone in here that isn't going to win that you really don't want to beat right now. And I think Braun Breaker qualifies. I don't think you put him in unless he's winning, and I don't think he's winning. So I'd leave him out. Bronson Reed, as I said, one of the choices. Dominic, I think Dominic's going to be there. Whether he faces Cena at Survivor Series or not, Dominic's going to be in this tournament. Rusev, I had in there. Of course, he's in. Sheamus had in there. He's in. The Miz, I think, is a guarantee. He will be in this tournament, maybe announced tonight. Nick Aldis is going to announce 2 more matches. So I could see The Miz in that group as well. I think because The Miz is in there, Carmelo Hayes is going to be in the mix. So put him in there. Also, Solo Sikoa, he has history with John Cena. I don't love the Solo edition, to be honest with you, because, again, I don't really see any scenario where Solo makes a big difference in this tournament. But they probably will try to give him something here. And so I think Solo will probably wind up in there. I had Penta. He was one of the names thrown into the video package. So that's worth noting. 2 names that, or maybe, what is that, more than 2 names? I had Ilya Dragunov in there. I could see Dragunov, sort of as a potential participant because of the whole open challenge thing and everything, and maybe you want to kind of have Dragunov come full circle. And don't forget, too, by having Dragunov in there, that gives fans the potential Triple H special of a Gunther versus Dragunov match. So I could see him finding his way into this thing. Again, given the U.S. title history and all that. Had Austin Theory. I have no idea if Austin Theory is ready to return yet, but he obviously is someone else who has history with John Cena. So I have Austin Theory in the mix. Now, again, that we'll see. There were the rumors out there that he was going to join the Vision and all this other stuff. So I could see them bringing him back for something like this, just given the past stuff with Cena. And the other names I had in there, Oba Femi, Trick Williams, and Nick Nemeth. So that was the 16. I mentioned a lot of names in there, but specifically the 16 guys I had on the list. I did have like 5 other names in consideration. I did have Joe Henry as part of that list. Matt Cardona, Ricky Saints. I'm thinking, all right, if you're going to put this in a position where why wouldn't the NXT champion want to put himself in this field, to kind of basically take aim at having a shot at John Cena. I could see Ricky Saints, being in there potentially, but they may just kind of separate it, from everything else going on. I know I had Jey Uso too, but I'm like, I'll be honest with you, I don't really want to see Jey in this tournament because I don't. And that's not even kind of the same theme that a lot of people have had talking about Jey over the past little while. It's really just, I don't think it's necessary to have Jey in this field because, I don't see any scenario where Jey wins. And I think it is kind of one of those tournaments where I'd love to just see it fill up with a lot of guys who, while you may say, I know that guy's not winning, I need a good story hook for why he's in there, right? And I wouldn't love it with Jey Uso, to be honest with you, right now. I think they need to keep a focus with Jey on other stuff, and that probably is returning to stuff with Roman and Jimmy as we head towards Survivor Series and all of that. But I've got to think Jey probably finds his way in, right? So I don't know. We'll find out. But again, those are just some of the names that I've thrown out there as potential options for this tournament. But again, guys, appreciate you hopping in live today, and I always enjoy your feedback in the comments and such. So any questions, comments you may have looking at this John Cena tournament and anything else in WWE, let me know. We will try to do this more frequently. I know I've said that before, but that is kind of my hope, is that we can do this a bit more here on the channel, because I do enjoy the live stuff, even more than just the normal recorded videos and everything. So it lets me interact with you guys here in real time and talk about lots of stuff, and not just one specific topic as we do in most videos here on the channel. So again, thanks for jumping in, and got some interesting names coming in from you guys, kind of reacting to the list that I just threw out there on who could be joining this potential last time is now tournament for John Cena. But look, prediction-wise, if I had to just make one right now, I'd probably still stick with Gunther. It's kind of a, I don't know, maybe it's like a coward's response, but I'm like, that's probably still going to be my pick. I still think he's the favorite, but I really am not against the idea that if WWE believes that one of these up-and-coming guys, and I'm going to keep using Oba Femi because I think he's the best example, is someone that they are investing in for the future, you're never going to get another opportunity to do something like this, right? There's not another John Cena farewell tour that's going to rival what they're in the middle of right now, and you only get one shot at this. So if you think that someone has the tools to be put in that position and succeed, not just be put in this position, right? You got to put that person in that position and give them every chance to succeed, because if you are known as the person who does not succeed in John Cena's final match, then that's going to follow you around for the rest of your career, right? If you struggle and don't look the part and, you're not able to rise to the occasion, and that may be where, because it is a match of such that big of a magnitude, going with Gunther may be the right call, because you have every belief and every bit of confidence in Gunther being able to meet that moment and, do exactly what you need to do to make that match be as memorable as it can be. Because let's call it what it is too. This farewell tour has not been the best. I don't think this will ever go down as the best farewell tour in the history of WWE. There have been lots of twists and turns. There have been many ups and downs, and I give WWE credit. As my colleague Zach Haydorn said yesterday, you have to give them credit for eventually just saying, you know what, let's drop what's not working and let's get back to the good stuff, as they have with Cena over the past couple months. But that road from basically February to August, it was a very slippery slope for sure with John Cena. And looking back on it, I think, again, the execution just was not the best, as we know, and we know all the reasons for it because of the lack thereof, kind of follow-up on the whole heel turn and the Rock's involvement and all this other stuff. So, So I mean, you've got to get this right. You've got to send off John Cena in the right way, and that's why getting this winner right is the only way to do it. So I'll still pick Gunther, but would not mind seeing them, again, strap a rocket to one of these guys and just go all the way with them and see if it turns out the same way it did with John Cena many, many moons ago on that SmackDown in 2002. So, all right, what else you guys want to talk about? Give me your thoughts on, again, any of the participants you'd like to see or not see in the tournament. I think that is, again, going to be the biggest WWE topic here over the next little bit. We'll also, of course, start the build to Survivor Series. Pretty much have an idea now of who's going to be on the Visions team. It will be Logan Paul, based on what happened on Raw on Monday, joining Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They need a few more, probably, to join that match, so we'll see who is going to join them. I know Brock Lesnar seems to be a favorite there, and I mentioned, could Austin Theory be someone who comes back? Who else is going to be in the mix? A lot to be determined on these teams for Survivor Series, but we do have kind of an idea, again, of where we're headed, I think. You would think Punk and Jay are going to be on one side of that team, Roman Reigns likely on that team as well, and I don't see any reason not to put Jimmy on there. Then it's just maybe a matter of, again, is it LA Knight? Is it someone else who joins that mix? I think that team in particular is going to be fascinating because, yes, I know a year ago we were kind of in the same position where you had the Bloodline reunite with Sami Zayn and, Punk was on the team and it was all about Roman and Punk, but I think you're going to get a very similar dynamic coming up this year. But it's just what's going to be on the other side. I don't know. And Christopher says, what about Santos? I mean, yeah, there have been a lot of things Escobar's back in WWE and had creative issues or whatever the report was. You would think they're going to actually try to improve his standing in the company, but we're still waiting to see what that's going to look like with him. So, I think it's just gonna be interesting to see kind of how those teams kind of fill out, because I don't have a great read on what they're going to do now. Obviously, the Rollins thing threw them for a loop with the teams. There's no question, but I think it's going to be kind of fascinating to see what they do from here. So, all right, right hand Cam says turn heel. Yeah, the Cena heel turn sooner. Something I said too, and we probably said this in the videos as that turn was happening, but it also just did not feel like a genuine thing. John Cena was playing a character when he turned heel, like he was just playing someone who was trying to say all the things that would get fans to boo him, when the whole story, and I think even now looking back, like the whole story is that no one really wanted to boo John Cena this year. Like, it was all about this being the farewell tour. And, again, yes, this could have been something that if you were going to turn him, it should have been before, March, right? I mean, you could have done this long ago. And of course, long ago could reference him back in the day, or it could reference having some sort of follow-up after he announced the retirement, last July or something. But it's just the execution was not there. And yes, it will be all, when WWE makes their top whatever lists of all-time shocking moments or whatever, that is always going to be on the top 3 from here until eternity, probably, as John Cena turns heel at Elimination Chamber. But any list that includes the follow-up is not going to be a positive list. It will be a negative list because, it's the truth. So it just was not the best execution. And like we said, there's a variety of reasons for that. Not having The Rock to continue the story, if there ever was a story that was going to be continued, we don't know. It just was not executed well. But, and Right Hand Cam says too, the Jay stuff. Yeah, I mean, listen, we know how this goes. And, Jay is just the newest person to kind of fall into this category of people that there have been people in the past that WWE will, again, sort of just decide to go with. And there may be multiple reasons why a large portion of the fan base, especially online, does not like that person, does not want them to go with that person. And, it can come out in a certain way, and it's not a good way. Like you say, Right Hand Cam. I mean, it's like, like the Jay thing. I made my argument for Jay months ago. I completely understood why they were doing it. I still understand why they make Jay a central focus, because for them, it is about money. It is about business, and Jay still drives business into the arenas, and that is what they care about. People have not stopped yeeting. Are there as many as there were 6 months ago? Maybe not, but there's still thousands who do it. And so as long as that's the case, and as long as they keep selling the Jay merch, Jay's not going anywhere. And that's just the fact of the matter. Like, it's going to work out that way. And, and two, like, remember, even before the Triple H era, like, Jay was set up in this whole bloodline story, right? You can go back to 2020. We're talking 5 years ago. Like, Jay was set up as one of the main people that you were going to look at, like, in terms of, like, their long-term story arc, going all the way back to 2020 when, the tribal chief became the tribal chief, And so, you can remember the Hell in a Cell match and all the stuff with Roman. And, at that point, like, people started to look at Jay differently. And his whole story, like, even when you got the bloodline in full effect with Sami Zayn there and all, like, Jay was one of the biggest reasons why the bloodline was captivating week by week, was because of the story they had between Jay and Sami and that unique relationship and all this other stuff. I mean, it's just, like I said, I get it. Like, there are going to be some people that don't like Jay's in-ring, and it's not smooth all the time, and it's not perfect. And again, I understand all that. But that's just not the way WWE sees it, They don't look at it from, they don't go to cage match. Like, they don't care about any of that stuff. Like, they just care about the dollars. And Jay's pushing merch, and as long as that's the case and the crowd keeps reacting to him in some way or another, then he's going to stay at that level because they put too much into his story over the years to just completely push him aside, and all of a sudden, Jay's out doing comedy, or something. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, and like I said, we'll see if Jay's in the tournament. I didn't have him on my list of 16, but I could certainly, understand that there probably is a good scenario where he is in this tournament somehow. But we'll see. All right, what else for you guys? Again, just wanted to kind of go live here for a little bit. Got about, we'll do about 10 more minutes or so, and I will try to make this more frequent. I've even toyed with the idea of doing this, not daily maybe, but 3 or 4 times during the week sometimes, just kind of talking about the news of the day in WWE, talking about storylines and all this stuff, in addition to the normal videos that I give you guys on the channel, which, again, I apologize, I have not had as much frequency on those over the past couple months, but we still do them when it comes to discussing any of the most intriguing stories that are out there. And I'd say a little bit of a dip recently in terms of the stories. After the Rollins injury, I feel like we kind of got thrown off a little bit. There wasn't as much to sort of sink our teeth into, but we'll see if we get anything good tonight on SmackDown that we can kind of move forward with. Curious to see what's next for Cody Rhodes. Are we going back to Drew McIntyre again? I just don't know how. I don't know how we keep going back. Like, listen, I thought they could have went with the shocking result at Wrestlepalooza and had Drew win there. Didn't happen. Cody just straight up beat him. Cody beats him again. And I know, Drew kind of has the outs and the reasoning and all that stuff as to why, he can't. Basically, Drew's been saying all the right things. He's not been lying about how things have unfolded, right? But I just think it's putting Cody in a tricky situation. And it is one where, like, it seems so blatantly obvious that they are telling us that Cody is going to turn at some point. But the wait continues. And if they do this match a third time on this type of level, right? If they do Wrestlepalooza, Saturday night's main event, and then they do it again at Survivor Series, then Drew's got to win. He can't keep losing, right? I mean, he just can't keep losing these matches. Whether Cody, through nefarious means or not, like, Drew just can't keep losing. And I think that's the position they've kind of put him in. People have made the comparisons to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, the guy that was always put in the top matches, with Roman Reigns and all that at times, but, like, just the guy who would seemingly just come up short in those kind of spots time and time again. And so, I don't know. Like, we're getting there with Drew, and I hate to say it that way because, I mean, the guys in the feud of the year last year was CM Punk. Stock had never been higher coming into this year in WWE, even when he was the champion back in, 2020 or whatever. Like, he was, to me, much bigger and better, like, now versus even when he was at his height back then. But I'm not sure. If he loses to Cody again, I don't care what the reasoning is. Cody could hit him with a title 43 times. I still would not be pleased if Drew loses again. So remember, it seemed like the initial plan, based on the reports out there, was that Drew and Cody were going to face off at Survivor Series. They moved that up because of the Jacob Fatu injury that took that match out of play at Saturday night's main event. So I don't know. We'll see if that's where they're headed. I would think they are. I've got a feeling we're going to get that again, but maybe we're not. So, all right. Yeah, I agree with Cam. I think if they do this match again, Drew has to win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that, of course, brings in the story of what does that mean with Randy Orton, right? Could Orton be tied into that story somehow? We're still waiting on the Orton thing, and maybe that's a WrestleMania thing, but we said that last year. So I don't know when we're getting Orton again. Feels like these stories, they're very stop and start on some of these stories. So, shout out to Brian, long time here at the channel. Going to be at SmackDown tonight. Awesome. Enjoy, Brian. Look, I know SmackDown. Listen, SmackDown has not been my favorite show over the past however many months. I just think that there's a lot to be desired with that show, but it's still a fun time live. I still think that, even though WWE has made it clear recently too that they're backing off all the live events and they're just focused on their television, Raw, SmackDown, and everything. I wish they did more live events because I think those are so fun to go to. If you go to a SmackDown or a Raw, those tapings aren't as long as they used to be, but the live event feel is just, it's still a fun show. And that's why I always say, like, sometimes we were talking about the Jay thing, right? The Jay Uso experience live versus the Jay Uso experience online. It's just a completely different world, right? So, no, enjoy, Brian. Should be fun. You got some matches already announced there, and we'll also get, again, the announcement of the next 2 matches in the Cena tournament. So we'll see what that looks like on that. Also got the United States Championship match on the women's side too, right? So, yeah, Brian predicting that Randy Orton's going to come out tonight. I hope Randy comes back. I'd love to see what happens there with him. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. All good. Late to the party, no worries. Yeah, we did kind of do this out of nowhere today, so appreciate everyone hopping in. Yeah, don't think Brock will be in. Yeah, because like you said in your follow-up message, yeah, we did that, which I'm glad you brought that up, because that brings up another question. Why did Brock beat John Cena at Wrestlepalooza? Do we have any reasoning whatsoever as to why Brock won that match? Like, I have no idea. People have tried to convince me of like, oh, well, it made sense for this reason and that reason. I still don't know why Brock beat him. Why did he come back just to beat him? We know why. It's the first show on ESPN, that deal they made with ESPN. But looking back, it just seems silly to have Brock come out and basically just beat Cena, and that's it. That's all. No follow-up. No, nothing. It's just like we had to forget about it, because then we just went from what? We went from Lesnar beating Cena to Cena just went off and did his own thing with AJ Styles, right? It's like, I don't know, man. That's what I mean. Like, some of this, if you really, and so I am, one of the articles I do have coming up on the Takedown on SI, it'll be after Cena's final match on December 13th, but I'm going to do a big column on the best and worst of this farewell tour. I'm telling you guys, I look back, and I've already started making my notes for this thing. I didn't realize, like, I forget some of the stuff that they've done along the way, and there's some stuff that will make you just shake your head, because I don't know how it's sort of panned out this way. I'm glad eventually, like I said, they got it right, but this thing got just ugly in the middle. So we'll talk more about that, though, as we get there. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. Okay, let's see what else we got. Yeah, right hand cam, I'm going to say, Orton should be involved in some way. SmackDown's been, I just think, like, SmackDown's kind of been, it's just been there. That's my opinion on SmackDown. Like, I just don't feel like it's sort of, moving the needle in a big way right now. And look, I know there have been some significant storyline developments and everything, but I just feel like there's still a bit to work with, and that's where the depth on Raw is much better. And I feel like, that's probably for a reason. It's a longer show, but I just think Raw has much more depth and star power right now, and I feel like they're trying out a lot of different things on SmackDown, and not all of them are hitting. So, yeah. So, like, I mean, you got a lot of, like, new things that are in the works, right? Whether it's Solo and the MFTs versus the Wyatt Six, the tag team division is, it's just kind of all over the place right now. The U.S. title open challenge has been the best thing on SmackDown for months now, since Sami Zayn restarted it. But, yeah, I don't know. So, all right, a couple more questions, then we're going to hop off here, guys. Again, I appreciate you hopping on. Kind of did this out of nowhere. Didn't announce this, but I'm glad to see you guys enjoy the interaction. And we are going to try to do this more, so don't be surprised if this becomes a regular thing here on the channel. Even though I know most of our audience is built off of just the short 12 to 15-minute videos. You guys know I like my live long-form stuff here to kind of talk through things and all that. So, and look, I know Brian's asking, could Cena be part of the WarGames? I think that's where we're going to find out really quick, and probably as soon as Monday, to be honest with you. If they're going to set up Cena versus Dominic, which seems to be the rumor out there, and there was even a rumor that Cena was going to beat Dominic for the Intercontinental title. I don't like that idea at all, I'll be honest with you. I just don't like it. I don't think you need the Intercontinental Championship playing into Cena's final match in any way, shape, or form, because I don't know what that does for anyone, unless that is where you have a surprise winner who somehow wins the Intercontinental Championship and just from Cena and just reestablishes, a dominant run as an Intercontinental Champion. That's the only way I would support that, and I don't think Gunther needs that at all. So I hope they don't go that route. But that's where we'll find out on Monday. Because, Dominic set up the whole thing with Ray this past week. I've got to think they're going to do that match, Dominic and Ray, and you wonder, maybe it's a tag match and Cena's involved somehow, but if they're going to get to Dominic and Cena at Survivor Series, we'll know on Monday because they'll have to start setting that up. But if they don't, then maybe they do it the other way, right? Maybe Cena's set up to be part of WarGames or something like that. But I would think if you're building up that show, you want the star power of having multiple WarGames matches. You want a Cena match, and then you probably want a Cody match because it's a stadium show, Petco Park in San Diego. So I think you need all that stuff, and I don't think you need them all combined together. So I think those are your main attractions. The 2 WarGames matches, a Cena match, a Cody match, and whatever else is there. So I think that's how it works. So, all right. And then Brian asked this question. There are some people waiting in NXT that are ready right now, right? But it doesn't seem like they're in a hurry to bring them up. But that's where we find out with this tournament, and Oba Femi and Trick Williams, Javon Evans, who we've already seen multiple times on SmackDown, been very impressive. SmackDown, look, I'm not going to say it's like the B show the way it used to be back in the day, but it's not that far away, in my opinion, right now. Like, it seems like the show where they are definitely trying some things. They know it's not Netflix, like it's USA, and it's just sort of, it feels like lesser than Raw right now. And we'll see if they change that leading into Survivor Series and then WrestleMania season. But, and on the women's side, there's multiple people in the women's division that they could bring up from NXT to SmackDown to kind of add a little bit of that. And I will say on the way out here, too, I am with you, Right Hand Cam. I think the direction with the MFTs, with the war paint and all this other stuff, it's not hit for me so far. So I worry that may ultimately be, we look back and are like, maybe that was the turning point and not in a good way for Solo and the MFTs. When I thought just him building up the family, his group would have been fine without going to and I know why they're doing it, right? It's like ties into they're tying it into the history and all that, but I don't love it. So we'll see. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off. But again, I just want to do this to see if you guys would enjoy something like this a bit more on a regular basis, because I do think this may be the easiest way for me to keep this channel going consistently moving forward, because again, I don't always have the time to necessarily just record the videos, edit, and all that stuff. So sometimes just me hitting live and talking about WWE may be the best way to go. So we may do this more, and so I really appreciate you hopping in, and we'll try to, maybe establish a bit more of a schedule and all that. You'll still get the normal videos here on the channel. I'll still give you thoughts on storylines, as I always do, in separate videos, go a little bit deeper into some of these topics, but still, we might try to do this a lot more. So I appreciate you hopping on, and again, appreciate Cam and others who support the membership tier here on the channel. You can join that, the Tribal Chiefs, as we call it. It's $3.99 a month. It's just a donation tier. Allows me to do more videos and do more live shows for you guys, and we will again try to do this more frequently moving forward. But again, I appreciate you. As always, like I said, check out my work over at the Takedown on SI, the weekly show I'm doing with Zach every Thursday over there. I'll put a link to those in the description as well, so you can check those out after the fact. And all my writing is over there also. So, all right, guys, you're the best. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Again, really means a lot. And we keep on trucking here with WWE and see what happens on the road to Survivor Series. But thanks, guys, for jumping in, and enjoy SmackDown tonight. And we will talk soon here at Wrestling Reaction.